the last Strictly Business for this year 2021, but we're excited to share with you issues of how you can plan as you get into 2022. Talking about that, we'll be talking about how entrepreneurs will be entering 2022 in regards to rebranding or refocusing on what you should look like when you're entering the year 2022 with the looming COVID-19 and how it keeps mutating. We're also going to be talking about the fact that fuel has increased. So whether you like it or not, that is what is the reality. But then again, that doesn't mean you cannot plan on how you can go ahead in regards to if you're the producer or you're the consumer. What do you do in an event like this one? That's what we'll be talking about on Strictly Business. And of course, more items in regards to the corporate, business and entrepreneurship world. Thank you for joining us on Strictly Business. My name is Judyngulube. We start off talking about issues of entrepreneurs and how you are going to enter 2022. Have you been struggling in this year, 2021? And what are some of the pointers you should be focusing on when it comes to making sure that your business stays afloat, your brand has got the correct image out there? I'm glad because Gilbert Banda is the managing consultant from the Motivational Center for Africa's Transformation. He's going to be joining me on set right now to just talk about issues of entrepreneurs in the year 2022. This is Strictly Business. Mr. Banda, thank you so much for coming through. How are you? Well, I'm excited to be on Strictly Business. I appreciate you being here.
Very well, yeah.
When you look at what you do, incubation, you are constantly engaging with entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
The last 2 years, COVID has hit us. The last year has had so many ups and downs, and others are saying, well, this is when I found my niche in regards to COVID for entrepreneurship. Others are saying I've hit my lowest of lows. But if there's an entrepreneur watching us out there and they're thinking, how am I going to enter 2022 with a rebranded image, with a face that's going to keep my business afloat? What can you firstly tell them in a general basis regards the year that we just ended into the one we're starting?
Okay, I think the year that we have we're just ending now, I think has been quite a challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs. Like you rightly say, you know, there are a number of them who really had reached the lowest because I think COVID really just, was a disruptor. It just brought so many things that, people didn't expect. And so many businesses, others even did go under, actually. And so I think going into 2022, for entrepreneurs who are listening to us or watching us on national television, I think it's more, to put a strong imagery there that, after we've passed through all this, I think by now they should have at least found a way out. They should be able to always find, that, this is a way we're going to position ourselves. Because it's about positioning, instead of always complaining. Because the challenge we have sometimes as Zambians that, we are always complaining, always want to play victim. But things, the world goes on. And if you don't actually reposition yourself, you don't rebrand, you don't, come out stronger, it will create a strong perception. Your business might still go the same way it has been, if not worse.
What impact has repositioning on an entrepreneur, on an entity?
I think a lot of impact, because at every stage it's about repositioning. And sometimes repositioning has to come, by getting, outside advice. Because sometimes if you're in the hole, you might not really know how deep you are in the hole until somebody, gives you. That's why, for enterprises like, we have business turnaround, we have team building retreats to try and help businesses to reflect upon the year which has gone by. Because sometimes, when you're in it, you're just running and running and running, you may not really know that you need to actually stop and be able to stop to start, so that, when you're entering the new year, you have at least, a good positioning, so to say.
What are these junctures, the points, the repositioning strategies that are supposed to be put in place? In which areas of the business, in which areas of entrepreneurship are these that are supposed to be looked at to be repositioned?
I think repositioning has to do with several ways. One of them is what you talked about in terms of branding. Sometimes, your business, you need to actually put a strong image out there, a strong logo, to have a good perception as a business, so that, people look at your business positively. So that is one of them. The other second one is, I think, in terms of area of culture, the way people work. I mean, in the pandemic, most people were working remotely. And when people are working remotely, you know, it's a new way of doing things. So others, instead of working, because the home environment for a lot of people has not been a good place for them to be able to. So I think working and helping, you know, people about, you know, this new way of working where they work remotely, that should be an area of positioning where we try and make sure that, you know, people understand that their role is so important in the business. Because a lot of people, you know, when they're in a group, when they're at a platform or where that workplace with others looming around, they'll be able to put in their best. But if you're working remotely, it's like, you know, you're more on relax. So you need a new mindset to be able to say that, hey, even though I'm at home, I need to put in my best in terms of making sure the business grows. The other one, I think, is about visioning. I think the business, that's why for big companies or small to medium enterprises, we encourage them to go for retreats, to go for places where they can be able to bring staff, to be able to tell them what has happened. And so it's a leadership role to be able to, you know, tell employees where we're going in 2022, what we want to achieve. Because I think, you know, if people know that this is where we are, this is where we want to end up, that kind of helps people to, you know.
Repositioning and all those is one thing.
Yeah.
But how you do it, the implementation of what you've jotted down when you're at that retreat, when you're at that, you know, putting down things on paper and now actualizing them is another thing. What's the best way? Is it boom, you start at once, or gradually? So how? The how is now becomes the biggest question.
In terms of implementation, for other companies, what people come up with is a team that kind of, you know, helps check the whole team to be able to be like, you know, this is a team that will make sure that, you know, what we agreed on, we are actually, you know, moving towards that. So you need to have, you know, a group of people that are managing that change, because change, you know, unless, you know, you have people that are pushing and making sure that, you know, if we wanted to say that we want to offer extraordinary customer service, mind, you know, steering, we need to be able to ensure that, you know, either we carry out those mystery shopping. We try and check that, you know, our employees are adhering to what, because I think adherence is like, you know, COVID. You know, for us to be able to know that, you know, it's about masking up, it's about, you know, social distancing, it's about, and sometimes you need to keep, you know, policing that, so to say, for people to be able to, because human behavior is about, you know, developing habits for you to be able to endure doing that. A lot of people, you know, you remember how masking up was such a difficult
yes.
But, you know, when we saw so many, I can't breathe, I can't, you know. But, you know, along the way, I think people began to adjust and, you know, found a way to be able to overcome that. So I think it's about continuous, the Japanese quote continuous kaizen, continuous improvement. You have to be at every, it's not something that, you know, just come all at once. No, it's something.
Starting for more of these retreats. I appreciate you coming through,
Sure.
Mr. Banda, and happy festivities.
Happy festivity to you too, and to our viewers out
as
there.
well. Okay,
Pleasure.
thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Gilbert Banda, and he is the managing consultant for Motivational Center for Africa's Transformation here in Lusaka. You're still watching Strictly Business. Let's go to our take and innovation.
A Lusaka-based local entrepreneur has invented the chemical formula of turning rubber and plastic into clean energy gas, which can be used in any motor vehicle as fuel. Presently, Central African Renewable Energy Corporation Limited is able to produce 700 liters of cheap clean fuel from its main plant in Shantumbu area in Lusaka. The LPG gas being produced from the plant has been certified by the Zambia Bureau of Standards. The process of converting waste into fuel takes 4 hours of combustion for the end product to be produced, which includes petrol, low-sulfur diesel, and cooking oil.
Something we've done now, we have seen that it's a concept that is workable, it's been proven, and so we need additional investment into this.
Central African Renewable Energy Corporation Limited Director says the company is ready to scale up production up to 200,000 liters of fuel per day if financial resources are made available.
Produce something like 200 tons per day, which is ideally 200,000 liters of fuel per day. And to be able to do that, we're looking at an investment of around $2 million.
And BuyZ founder has called on lending financial institutions to consider investing in the project as it is viable and key in producing cheap fuel.
Private sector out there, especially the banks, let's not only collect deposits from your clients, you can take this project as your own. We have been told that the project, in order to run at full capacity, it needs about in the excess of $2 million. I think that is a colossal sums of money.
After waiting for close to 5 hours, it was time to test the genuineness of the fuel produced at the plant. One could not tell the difference, the conventional petrol, as the vehicle in which it was tested was running smoothly.
Produced from our plant in Shantumbu, and here we are going. We're doing 40-50 kilometers per hour, showing that our product is a clean product.
The basic needs basket is determined by so many issues that have to do with economic growth, the buying power that a person has, how much the producer is selling the product or service at. Now, with the hike of fuel, there's a ripple effect on how much our goods and services are going to cost, which automatically goes to how much you'll be buying that product and service. With both parties wanting to be happy, what then happens? And how do you adjust in a time like this? I have from the JCTR, Chama, who's going to be talking about this, and we want to understand where exactly the JCTR is with this, what policies and projects they're putting in place so that we come to terms with how we're going to survive in a time like this. Chama, how are you? Thank you so much for coming to Strictly Business.
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How's the JCTR?
JCTR is good. I think we have a lot of work on our hands.
I can imagine. I can imagine. So, you know, the fuel has increased. Yeah. And there's an issue of it posing an adjustment for both the producer and the consumer. But then, how then does it affect the buying power exactly? To what extent?
Thank you so much, Judy. I think that's a very good question. First of all, based on the work that we have been doing, so the Basic Needs and Nutrition Basket is a monthly survey of prices, and what we have observed has shown us that fuel is a key input in production, because it's actually quite critical. Yeah. You need it both for the production and then you also need it for the movement of goods. So then, even as producers decide how much they'll sell a particular product at, they will definitely consider transportation, they will definitely consider how much it costs for them to produce. So in 2019, when we had the fuel price increment, you remember?
Yes.
So in 2019, December, we had the fuel price increase, we had the electricity increase. Yes. So December 2019, our Basic Needs and Nutrition Basket in Lusaka was standing at about 6,600. When we did the January Basic Needs and Nutrition Basket survey, the basket had jumped to about 7,400. So that was like an 800 kwacha jump. Yes, so what we have seen is that really fuel does impact. Of course, there are a number of factors that come in. Yes. January, the first quarter of the year is largely a lean season, because remember, farmers have planted and a number of the food is quite scarce on the market. But fuel is quite critical. So then in terms of striking the balance, now that's $1 million question. Even
because
for me.
Can we have a situation where there's a win-win situation in a condition like the one we have currently? Is it possible to have a win-win situation?
Win-win situation, I think at the point where we are, to be able to get to that, when we get there, because at the moment we're just at the beginning of the situation. Yeah. So to get to know how it will really impact on both the consumers and the producers would have to be in it, in terms of seeing how it progresses, seeing the trends. But there has to be a way that you can still facilitate consumers and producers being able to still benefit or be cushioned, I think, in a time like this one. And one way, of course, with the 2022 national budget, we've seen a number of incentives the government has tried to put in place. For example, reducing corporate income tax, and of course the support that is being provided to micro, small and medium enterprises in terms of helping them grow, even in a time like this one. But then for the consumers, you know, when it comes to affording the cost of living, it's dependent on, first of all, how much income do you get, and also what type of livelihood activities are you engaged in. So if the government is able to sort of facilitate that, and also even the private sector, now with the private sector-led growth and employment creation, if you sort of have a way that consumers can still be able to meet some of those needs like employment creation and as well as income, then it sort of provides a sort of win-win, because even in that dire situation, you have an income that is able to keep you afloat. At the moment, the 2020 Labor Force Survey has pegged average incomes in Zambia at about 4,391, with our cost of living in Lusaka at about 8,000.
Wow.
So
Double.
already there's, even before you bring in the hiking of the fuel, before you bring in the employment situation, there's already a gap between what people need and
4,000, you need 4,000, you need 8,000 in Lusaka to stay afloat, to make sure that, you know, you survive the whole month. What are you doing as a JCTR to intervene and to make sure that the basic needs basket, at least is, you know, for a family, is met, especially in this period? Because it's almost like a tighten your belt situation until you get to, you know, the land of milk and honey. What interventions are you putting as JCTR, or how are you advising people to make sure that they are within their means and survive?
So that's a very important question. So what we are doing as a center, our major focus is, of course, various stakeholders like policymakers, the government specifically, to be able to put in place interventions that can cushion the population, but also the people themselves, the households. So for example, on the basic needs and nutrition basket, you will notice that the major, one of the key items that really is influenced a lot by various environmental issues like seasonality, it's fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
So one thing that we try to do, even as we disseminate the findings of the basket, is to encourage families to grow vegetables in their
Which have gone down actually right now, is it?
Yes, so fruits have gone down because, remember, we are in mango season.
Of course.
So other fruits, the price goes down because mangoes are locally grown, they are abundant on the market. You can get 4 mangoes for 2 kwacha.
Yeah.
Compare that to 6 kwacha orange or 7 kwacha apple.
You definitely go for the mango.
Exactly. So at the moment it has gone down just because of what is available on the market. So it's a seasonality issue. And with the basic needs and nutrition basket, what we try to do is to give people a perspective of what is affordable on the market, what is available and what is affordable within the means that you have.
Okay.
So if you're able to, you can buy the more expensive ones. And then for the producers, there is, like I mentioned, taking advantage of some of these incentives the government is providing, the opportunities that are existing for you to be able to sort of stay afloat. Because they say that the only thing that is constant in life is change. Yeah. And I think it would be very difficult for us as a center to say, okay, change should not happen.
It shouldn't happen,
exactly.
Isn't it? But we're glad you came through and shared all these issues with us. I mean, January is always a tight month for almost everybody.
But now with the abolishment of school fees, possibly there will be less pressure.
Get that money and take it this side. Thank you for coming through, Chama.
Okay, thank you so much.
Chama from the JCTR are sharing with us what measures you can put in place as we get into a month that would need you to adjust, as well as if you are a producer on the producer's end, what you can put in place so much that all these issues we're feeling right now can be cushioned. This is Strictly Business. Siavonga Council Chairperson Given Kwapu is encouraging local tourism and aquaculture, saying Siavonga is playing a huge role in contribution to these 2 particular sectors. He also gave his New Year's message.
COVID has affected the industry, not only here in Siavonga, but the country at large. Should I say the world? It's a global problem. So right now, tourism in Siavonga is good in that we are now depending on the local tourism around the country. It's a very good place. And what we are trying to do right now, we are trying to encourage the local tourism. When I talk of local tourism, it is around the country. So all those people like, for example, Lusaka, Livingstone, Copperbelt, Siavonga is the best. And for your information, I want to add something here. When you talk of tourism, in line with the COVID, how it has affected us, we feel with the COVID, the industry can still flourish. The industry can still do well. In that, yes, it can do well in that one. We are tapping now the local arrangement. We have hotel owners who are very reasonable when it comes to issues of tourism and how we can partner through the local authority and them. Right now, they are very supportive. We have decided to do a program that is so inclusive. the local authority, the key players who are lodges and hotel owners, we are very supportive in that as we are promoting this we are promoting tourism, we don't want anyone to lag behind. We want to move as one. The key players, the hotel owners, and the lodge owners, and the local authority. We are trying to come up with a package that is able to encourage tourism. Siavonga district is being propelled, is being actually anchored on tourism. The economy here is dependent on tourism. So that is why this partnership that we are trying to bring. You are aware that the council, the local authority, we depend on the rates that come from these very hotel and lodge owners. So if we don't encourage them, we don't encourage tourism, meaning we'll have default rate going up. And we want to make sure that we help our colleagues, the key players, in ensuring that their business is stable. And when the business is stable, it means that a job will also be stable. When these people come here, I know for sure, as you believe, you'll be buying fish. That's indirect job. So as people are coming, they are supporting our small, entrepreneurs, these who are selling fish, dry fish, carpenter, and all that. So minus these tourists coming to Siavonga, there is a chain reaction there where a lot of people will be affected. So that is why we are trying to make sure that we move as one. This is the major hub for fishing, and all other sectors. So Siavonga being the second tourist, we have an advantage in that you know that Lusaka is a major ingredient to our tourism. The major biggest industries in the fishing industries, they are here in Siavonga.
And that is a wrap for Strictly Business. We'll see you next year in 2022. Keep enjoying your festivities. On behalf of the entire production crew, my name is Judyngulube.